News and information more, and we're going to start in Cincinnati today, where the Bengals running back Joe Mixon is listed as questionable. He did not practice on Wednesday due to the sprained ankle. He did not practice on Thursday due to the sprained ankle. He was a limited participant in practice on Friday, but the sense is he is planning to play today against the 49ers. He wants to test the ankle in pregame warmups first to make sure he can play. We'll see whether they limit him some with Giovanni Bernard out there, but Mixon is planning to go today.
Let's keep some focus on this Lamar Jackson of the Ravens versus Kyler Murray of the Cardinals today in Baltimore. Kyler Murray only had 5 batted balls or tipped balls at Oklahoma during his career. They said his height wouldn't be a problem. Well, last week, as we saw, the Detroit Lions, because this is a technique NFL coaches actually teach, they batted or tipped 4 passes. So he'll have to work outside the numbers more, but he can't get the ball down deep. He has plenty of arm to do that.
All right, more. Dallas has already signed Ezekiel Elliott, Jalen Smith, La'el Collins to long-term extensions this season, but one player less likely to re-sign this season is wide receiver Amari Cooper. Cooper would like to be in Dallas, and the Cowboys would like him there, but of all the Cowboys entering the last year of their contract, and he's been connected to the deal, none has been more patient. So far, it's worked out well. He's watched the other receivers cashed in around the league. He'll cash in, just probably not this season.
And everybody knows the news that Sam Darnold, the Jets' former first-round pick, won't be playing Monday night against the Browns because of mononucleosis. His return has been uncertain, but he has already told the team he's feeling better and is hopeful he can play in Week 5 after the bye week. Week 6 against the Cowboys is maybe a best-case scenario, but Darnold himself feeling better. He'll be scanned this week. The spleen is certainly an issue, but for the most part, he is making progress.
All right, thanks, guys. Let's go live out to Hard Rock Stadium. You see him right there, Antonio Brown, warming up, getting ready for this one against the Dolphins. So, Matt, in terms of on the field, connecting with Tom Brady today, what are you expecting?
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have a small package of plays. They'll have a personnel grouping dedicated to him. Josh McDaniels on that big call sheet will have something called 3 wides 17, 3 wides Antonio, 3 wides AB. And those will be their plays that he'll have to have memorized. Not the whole playbook, just the plays. They say, hey, listen, focus on these 10 to 15 plays. We might call them today. Be ready.
And also during the week, could he absorb that information and execute it on the practice field? Because if they don't see it right on the practice field, they will not run it during the game.
Randy, did you ever warm up without shoes? Everyone
no, maybe in the locker room, but no, I'm just telling you, just looking at that just shows me that his feet are all right and he's ready to roll. That's what they're showing me.
We got frostbite, we got hot feet.
You know what? I truly think he's going to be the X receiver. That way, the guy that's less likely to motion, not going to motion, really, and it's a lot easier. That's why I think he can be more involved in this game plan than you think. We did it when we picked up Braylon Edwards during a week, and he ended up playing about 80% of the plays.
And in case you don't know, X receiver just means the receiver all by yourself. There's no other receivers on your side.
The precision that is needed in the routes where Tom Brady expects him to be is very high in that New England offense. Randy, you would know that better than most.
Well, just being able to, Rex was talking about him being the X receiver. If he's over there by himself, it'll be made easier for him because then Tom Brady can signal him a route that he sees in the defense. But if he's in multiple packages with multiple receivers to the same side, that's where it may get a little complicated for Antonio Brown.
It'll be interesting to see how many targets he gets, how things go with Tom Brady. If that precision is not there, Teddy, a lot more on this game later in the show. But for now, let's go to a place he is very familiar with. On to Heinz Field, Mike Tomlin said his team wasn't ready for prime time last Sunday, unable to score a single touchdown. Today, they've got a 1 o'clock start in front of a home crowd, looking for some optimism about offensive life beyond AB. No need for panic, though, says Big Ben, who told his team this week that the sun's still shining, the sky's still blue. We just need to play better. Little things here and there. For more on that and this Steelers offense, we bring in Diana Rossini, who is live in Pittsburgh. Hi, Diana.
Hey, Sam, the sun certainly is still shining, but boy, Big Ben's weapons, they are ice cold after last week's performance against the New England Patriots. So here is what you need to know for this game, starting with the Steelers wide receiver room. They are going to vary up their receiver formation. It is something they struggled with last week in Foxborough. So you're going to see variety, at least a better variety, and more James Washington out on the field. All right, so that's one. Two, Big Ben, he was in shotgun almost 99% of the time last week. You're going to see less of that in this game. What that does, opens up the run game. Can we say James Conner? Guys, we know this receiving core, though. They're young. There's some growing pains going on. But 9-year veteran Dante Moncrief, okay? So last week, he had more drops than catches, obviously. 4 in total, actually. And when Big Ben was asked about it, you going to avoid him, perhaps? He said, nope. I'm actually expecting a big game from him today. But guys, all in all, the moral of the story here in Pittsburgh is that offense you saw last week in Foxborough, you can wave it goodbye because we got a new team out on the field today. Sam?
Yeah, Diana, at least they sure hope so. They sure hope so. Randy, last week you were really strong talking about Juju Smith-Schuster and your expectations for him as a #1 receiver. What'd you see from this receiving core in week 1?
Well, I really think that from an individual standpoint, I think Juju Smith-Schuster somewhat met expectations because a lot of people counted him out against that Bill Belichick defense. But to me, just listening to that piece from Diana, just listening to her talking about this offense, how it's going to look. To me, it's not based on the formation and trying to figure out or trick the defense. Me, it's just, are you ready to play in big games? That is my question for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this offense. For me, talking about Moncrief, talking about Washington. Yes, she did highlight him in her piece. But to me, looking here, pitch and catch against the New England Patriots. Right here, quick out. Why didn't they connect right here? You are professional athletes. You have to be able to connect and make these throws. Look at this pass right here. On the outside of the man, I always say it, if the ball touches the wide receiver's hands first, the ball should be caught. So I think for me, my biggest concern going down is, are the guys ready for the moment? We said last week, and Teddy, you said a 4 now is becoming 3, and now a 3 becomes a 2, now a 2 becomes a 1. And then we're talking about at the wide receiver position. So for me, it's the supporting cast needing to step up in big games, not just this week.
I'm not worried about the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. They'll get it. I don't know if variety is the answer. More formations, more adjustments, and trying to trick the defense almost, but almost getting used to those mentalities that you're talking about. Juju at times just saying, just line me up over there on the right. I don't care who it is. Throw me the ball. That type of mentality, because from a defensive perspective, when you have a true #1 and you respect the true #1, that coverage is going to go over there. You're going to give them that coverage respect. And then those other receivers, their roles, being the 2s and the 3, they got to step up. It's just what they have to do. And this is an entire Pittsburgh Steeler, receiving core that has to get used to those new roles. And also Conner. Conner's got to realize, well, if it's a 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3, you got to want it. You don't like pass plays called on that. Give me the ball, I'll convert. Those type of mentality shifts have to happen.
And you guys mentioned the wide receivers. That sure is true. But the identity of this Pittsburgh Steelers offense, when they have been rolling, has gone through that offensive line. They have got one of the best offensive lines in football, and a Hall of Fame quarterback, and a runner that can carry the load. They need to get back to James Conner and then let the big plays come. Let the big plays come with Big Ben down the field. That will just happen. But that offensive line is too good to just not use them, not to lean in on them. But for me on the other side, my big question, similar to what you're talking about with Juju Smith-Schuster, the Seattle Seahawks. Last week, I didn't really recognize it. Now, they lost a guy in Doug Baldwin. And yes, they replaced Doug Baldwin in a sense. They got DK Metcalf. But who's going to be the guy that catches the ball on 3rd down for Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson played outstanding, like he normally does. But on 3rd down, wide receivers got to step up. Last week, he's not even really targeting wide receivers. The leading receiver on the team is the running back. After that, it's tight ends. They converted 1 3rd down last week on a throw to a wide receiver, and that was just a scramble play, throw it up to DK Metcalf. So I got to believe, whether it's Tyler Lockett, who had 1 catch last week, or if it's DK Metcalf, somebody has to step up and fill that void that Doug Baldwin left.
Matt, a scary thing that we talked about earlier in the show, this team has not scored a point in Pittsburgh for 2 games. Like that's a concern. And you look at it 3rd down. Tyler Lockett's a small receiver. I don't see him as that 3rd down receiver. But my thing, I want to kick it back to Pittsburgh. Nobody saw that performance coming on Monday night, did they? Oh, maybe we did, because I said they're a better football team Monday through Saturday, but they're not a better team on Sunday. So game day comes by, they're not as good. I'm sorry, they're not as good. The part about moving the receivers, they want to try to get Juju in a similar role. Well, guess what? They're not approaching the same way. We saw Stephon Gilmore just locking down last week. You're not going to have that this week. They don't have that type of corner. So I expect a bigger day from them. One thing I trust Mike Tomlin. He's got to figure it out. You guys hit it on the head. Let's get back to running the football, and I think they'll win. And obviously, Heinz Field gives them the advantage today.
Yeah, you guys did a whole piece about tight ends earlier with the Ravens. I think that's the guy to look for in this game. Vance McDonald, 2 catches for 40 yards in that first game. They might go to him more often with other guys, dropping balls. That usually means maybe you need to go back to your tight end. We also want to say happy birthday to Pete Carroll, his 68th birthday today, the oldest active.
All right,
birthday,
NFL.
You would never
Doesn't
know
act
it.
old.
You
You
would
would
never
never know it. That's right. Still to come on Countdown, Ezekiel Elliott said he's ready for a full workload this week against the Redskins, but we'll explain why maybe that's not the best game plan. Plus, Aaron Rodgers against Kirk Cousins today. The division rivalry has been taken to a new level.